So all of the RFPs have been sent and responded to by the suppliers, and all of their costs have been added in. We have some fixed costs that have been put in. I have updated this quote, so it now has, for the creative variation 1 part of the creative part, has a cost and some suppliers information in there, also creative variation, and a print. The print part for the first variation has a response. Notice I don't have the other ones ticked, so I'm saying that that's what they are. I can drill into the details of each of these expenses, and I can allocate them to a product code. In this case, this one's allocated to artwork, which is perhaps not appropriate. There should be appropriate codes in here. The selection of the codes in here will bring in the appropriate general ledger code that will be mapped through for the accounting system, so that's quite important. The setup of these will be done by the system administrator. That task is yet to be done. So that detail for the expense is being set up. This detail for this expense is being set up. The information that we put in here will flow through to the rest of the system, so we can review it here and make sure it's correct. And I can make a job either from the Make Job button here, or I can go to the variation names and pick which variation is going to be making the job. So variation 1 will make a job, and all the details for variation 1 will go through, or the variation 2 will go through. But I'll get an error because I didn't check any of the expenses or any of the costs for variation 2. So how can you make a job for that? Or if I go over to the supplier's costs, and I've got my tick ones here, which are all variation 1, and I make job, the system will say, well, which one do you want to make? And so I'll make variation 1 or variation 2, and I'll hit continue. If I do get the dialog box, it will show me that this is details for quote number, and the variation is variation 1, whatever the description was. The information here that I've got, the title, the description, the specification, all of this information has come from the quote. It's the overall title and the overall description and so on and so forth, and any special instructions. I can write special instructions to flow through into the job. I can nominate what type of proof and what time and date the proof should be delivered. I can check and update the production details that might be appropriate, and I can enter or check the delivery details and or put in a distribution list. All of this information goes into the header of the job that I'm about to make. So I can actually review and change all this information here. It won't actually update the quote details. It'll all flow through and update the created job. Down here it tells me that there was 2 parts to this quote that have got costs allocated against them. If there was a further part to the quote that had no costs allocated, it would not show, or if it did have costs, it would show. So we have some creative, there's a creative part, and all the costs for that are here, and there's a print part, and all its costs. If I open up the creative part and scroll down, I'll see that there, in actual fact, there is 2 costs. There's one here from a supplier, a GPS test supplier. All the details we had in that dialog box show up in here. The quantity, the cost, the markup, and the sell price. Then the second cost for the creative goes in here, whether this is a manually entered one or one that's come from a supplier. Then down here I have the printed costs, and I can open that up as well, and it shows me all the costs, in this case just one. So these are the costs and who's going to provide them, what product allocation we're going to allocate them to, what the title will be, what the description will be, what the spec will be, what the quantity is. Note this is 3,000, whereas these creative ones up here were for 6. The price and the overall price, the markup, the total cost, and the sell price. Now, this information at the top here, as I said, will go to the job. This information in the bottom here will go, each one of these will go to be a job line item with a product code, a quantity, a cost, and a sell price. So once I've got all my data right, I can review and change everything. I can hit the Make Job button. So it's now processing this and making the job. First of all, it makes the job. Then it will go and add in the line items that I need, and there'll be 3 of those because there's 3 costs that I allocated. And then it will actually create the job and bring back me the details and show me it's job number 10635 from the quote, and it was variation 1, whatever that text was. And in here you'll see that the job title I had before, job title, the description is the short description, the spec is the overall job spec, and the proof information I didn't add in. The production details I didn't fill in, so they haven't carried forward. The contact details have carried forward, and I can write a note. Now, this job has been made. and I can update any of this information here and hit the update button, and it'll be saved. Or I can simply go straight to the job record and review it and continue on, or I can close this and do another quote to a job. So I'll actually go through to the job and have a look at the job, and I'll show you how the costs came into the job. So now I'm looking at the actual job record. It tells me it's job number 10635. It's got 3 line items, as we said, all for VAR 1, photo shoot, 3,000 print vouchers, what part of the job they belong to, what the quantities were, what the price was, and so forth. It's given me all those details. I've got the delivery. There are no purchase orders, and there's no emails that have been generated from this job yet. And there's some overall details here: the title, the description, and the overall spec for the job. So that's how we make a job. Now from here I can update the job, or I can add purchase orders. I'll show you how to make purchase orders in the next video.